Welcome back, Gemsonas. This is part 2 of my Steven Universe Q&A, brought to you by me and Lindsay's Patreons. I make art, she makes art. We're terrific. Check out her links below. And there's also a link for buying some of my stuff. Red Knight, the graphic novel, on my CreateSpace, and the other comics from Red Knight on my Etsy shop. Also check out Lindsay's Etsy shop. Let's go. Where did we leave off?
We left off with... would you and your wife ever consider cosplaying a couple that you both ship from the show? If so, which couple?
Okay. Let's see. What would you... Have you thought about this? Because I mentioned this question to you.
Oh, I'd like to dress up as Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm big in pink.
Yeah. I would definitely...
and you'd have to be Greg.
Greg. I would be Greg. That would be... Yeah, that would definitely be our choice. I think we would look great as Greg and Rose, frankly. I would have to get a t-shirt and grow my hair out and play guitar badly because I'm terrible. But we have a ukulele, so yeah, I think we'd be set for that.
Next question: how do you feel about all of the build-up with mothers in the second season, and how do you think it will come to a head?
I'm not sure if it will come to a head. I know. Where are the mothers was a question asked by fans for a while, actually. And I think we're now starting to see the mother characters kind of slowly evolve into the show. It's interesting we got 2 in a row, actually, almost dealing with similar issues with Nightmare Hospital and Sadie Song. I'm not sure if it's going anywhere particularly, but it's... I am digging the... I think it might be more of a coincidence that we got 2 back-to-back like that. But I am hoping they'll maybe become more part of the show. It'd be nice... Actually, I was just thinking the other day, it'd be nice to see them interact with the crystal gems. Maybe bestow motherly advice to them, like how to raise a child. That might be an interesting scene.
Well, we also got Onion's mom.
That's right, yeah, Onion's mom a few episodes ago. Who I like a lot, actually. I think Vidalia is an awesome character. Actually, all 3 of the recent mom characters are great, but God, I love Vidalia. What a great character.
What anime or cartoon references would you like to see them insert in the show, and why? Possibly explain how these references might play out.
Ooh, interesting. I would love... I would love a reference to Project A-ko. Project A-ko is a 1988 anime, which was kind of a satire on other animes at the time. And it makes fun of a lot of the tropes that were going on back then, and actually still today, frankly. It actually holds up decently with some of the humor. And there is a moment, one of the greatest moments I've ever seen in anything is, long story short, Project A-ko is about this girl, A-ko, who has seemingly out of nowhere superhuman powers. She's super strong, super fast, and stuff like that. And she has this best girl pal, Biko, and there is their enemy, Siko, who is in love with Biko, and there's sort of a love triangle there. And in the middle of this kind of storyline is this slowly building alien invasion storyline, and they come and kidnap Siko because she's their long-lost princess, and they're willing to destroy Earth to get her. And there is this awesome scene where they've taken her, they're in this massive spaceship, it has like all these aircrafts coming, they're fighting the military. A-ko jumps on a jet and is riding up towards the spaceship. It explodes and she jumps off, and there are seemingly hundreds of missiles being fired at her, and she steps on one and she jumps on another one and jumps on like jumping logs. She gets to the spaceship that way, and it's one of the most amazing things I've seen in anime. It's hilarious and spectacular at the same time. I would love to see Steven do that in a scene. I could definitely see her doing that, him doing that. or Stefani. Either way, actually, Stefani might make more sense. But that would be a fantastic. If they do that reference, I'm done with references. They don't have to make any more after that.
See, which character you most like, or would you want to be most like?
Steven. Steven, definitely. In both answers, I relate to him a lot, especially I was a kid. I was a lot like him when I was like in my preteens, if not still today. As a 40-year-old man, I'm still quite a bit like Steven. There are times where when I get frustrated and emotional, I've actually realized I relate to Pearl quite a bit. I deal with loss in a similar way. I deal with being irritated in a very similar way. If you want to know who I am, I'm very much in between Steven and Pearl. I'm kind of that person right between. Maybe I'm a little more Steven than Pearl, but man, at my worst, when I get irritated. Yeah, there's... On my worst days, I'm Pearl. On my best days, I'm Steven.
This one has a long explanation before it, but I'm just going to read the question at the end.
You can skip it, yeah.
What do you think of Rose and her possible involvement, if any, in building the kindergarten? If she was involved, do you think she intentionally knew of the damage caused by her people and simply didn't care until she came to Earth? Or do you have... Or do you have something else in mind?
See, this was the one that started out of the conversation he was having, yeah, or she was having with somebody. Yeah, I read this question, so don't worry. That's actually a really interesting thought, and I think I briefly mentioned in the previous video about what my thoughts were for the Gem War, if they ever do it. I do have this feeling that maybe she wasn't outright evil. Maybe she wasn't villainous in her intentions. Maybe it's just something we do. We go to these planets, we do these kindergartens. This is how we replicate our race, repopulate our race, and we move on. And maybe it wasn't until Earth, whatever happened, kind of like caused her to realize that what they were doing was wrong. Or maybe what they were doing on Earth was perhaps maybe a step further than what they normally do. And this was just a step too far for her. We don't have any information really on her prior to this war, actually. And we only have... The most we've been told about is, from Pearl and Garnet, who obviously have high regards for her. So we haven't really seen too much of her mistakes and failings during this period. So I'm actually very curious. It would be interesting to see that she had kind of a character arc and change during this. Or maybe she was just flat out ignorant of what they were doing. We shall see.
Next question. It's another 3 questions from one person.
Okay.
What would you say is the show's weakest aspect, if you can think of any?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on the various anime references found in the episodes? And is there any anime you'd like to see referenced? And what would you say are your top 3 songs from the show so far?
Okay. First off, the weakest aspect, I'd say, might be one of its stronger attributes as well. The time limit, sometimes. So, this Steven Universe show is kind of patterned after the Dexter's Laboratory pattern, which, Cartoon Network started their shows, back in the 90s, where it was like, their shows would be like 2 10-minute episodes, and Cartoon Network has gotten really fluid about how they show them. Sometimes they show their episodes, they'll just show one 15-minute episode, and then they'll show a 15-minute episode of something else. But usually they show them, packaged up, and it's not... The same half hour won't be the same 2 episodes, I've noticed. So it won't always be Return and Jailbreak. It'll be maybe Jailbreak and, so many birthdays or something like that. So I think that can sometimes be frustrating. There are sometimes they have so much episode, like this recent Peridot episode of Catch and Release. I could have really gone for that to be a full half-hour episode. But what they did in that episode was extraordinary. They really, and that's one of the things I said about, like, maybe it's also one of the cooler attributes about the show is it's kind of like taught them how much they can pack into a single 11-minute episode. Alone Together is a good example of that. Warped Tour is a good example of that. What they're able to do. And there are times where you just know, like, it just ends too soon. You just, the Peridot episode, the Catch and Release, it's like, oh man, we're ending now? And then, I don't know, there aren't very many episodes that feel padded, so that is one of the better things. If this was always a half-hour series, they would have some episodes that would be padded, that wouldn't have enough for the full 22 minutes. And I've seen episodes of shows I like that, like, oh man, we're really kind of padding up here. So at least they don't have to deal with that. So that's actually not that bad of a comment. All right, what was this second anime references?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on various anime references?
I absolutely love it. I'm an old school anime fan. Last few years, I'm not as quick with anime lately. In the last, I don't know, 10 years, I've been watching less, but in the 80s, 90s was all about it. I adore it. I love the fact that they're kids growing up with anime, and it's reflected in the show. And what I like is there's some blatant references, and then they're really subtle, and you can tell how they've learned storytelling and character through anime, and that's one of the things I like. I mean, because a lot of American cartoons, a lot of Western cartoons will reference anime in the most superficial ways. And this show kind of takes, like I said, the storytelling lessons of anime and apply them to, a Cartoon Network show. And then of course, the obvious jokes that they can't help. And sometimes I catch them, and sometimes I don't, because they're fans of whatever they watch. So if I didn't watch that show, I didn't get it until later. But it's caused me to look up stuff, like I never heard of Revolutionary Girl until Steven the Sword Fighter, and looked it up, and it's like, oh, that's a pretty cool show. I actually watched a couple episodes and thought it was neat. There's the Evangeline reference of Congratulations, which is very funny when you watch those clips together. So I enjoy it. I'd love to continue seeing them do it more, because they don't do it. They don't Family Guy it. They don't do it up the ass where it's way too, to the point where it's not even a joke. It's just them taking a scene and putting it in their show. It's done pretty thoughtfully, I think. I could go, like I mentioned, Project A-ko would be really cool, and I'd love to see a Ghost in the Shell reference somewhere. That would be nice.
Right, the next person.
Oh, the 3 songs. Oh yeah, the songs.
Oh, yeah.
Favorite 3 songs. Let's see. Do It For Her, Do It For Him is fantastic. I love that song. The Garnet song. What's that song called? The fusion song.
Made from Love? I don't know what it's called.
Oh man, I can't remember it all of a sudden. Well, the Garnet song about being, her song in Jailbreak.
Stronger Than You?
Stronger Than You, thank you. It just totally flew out of my head. Stronger Than You. That's a brilliant song. Those are 2 of the best songs. And then after that, maybe, it would be, there's so many other songs that could be third. The Comet song from Greg. I think that's such a cool song. Those are probably my 3 favorites. Easily the top 2.
Alright, the next person asked 6 questions. So I'm going to read them one at a time and let you answer each one.
Okay, alright.
Okay. 1. Do you have any predictions for future episodes based on the titles? An example, a lot of people are saying Marty will come back in Drop Beat Dad.
That's a definite, Drop Beat, that's something Sour Cream does, and it's Drop Beat Dad, it's Dead Beat Dad. So yeah, obviously we'll see Marty in that one. Some of them, the thing about like Steven episode titles is sometimes they're so vague. It's like I can't. It's hard to like for like predict. I mean, unlike a lot of other shows, you can probably go, oh, okay, this is going to be a Joker episode. This is going to be, an episode, dealing with, Marceline or something like that. Yeah, a lot of these are hard to predict. Like I think the last episode of season 2 is called "Last One Out of Beach City," and I suppose that's going to be like maybe it might be another devastating disaster. There's like a Back to the Barn episode or something like that, which I assume will be rebuilding stuff out of Greg's aunt and uncle's parts, if there's anything left after the spaceship. But yeah, they're a little tricky. They're a little hard. In the past, I've guessed, and I've been very wrong, so I'm hesitant to make such guesses.
This question isn't relevant anymore. What do you think of the fact that we haven't seen the gems since the hiatus finished?
It's terrible. I think they're dead. They're dead. Anyway, what?
Number 3. Is there a singer that you would like to see guest star in one of the fusions? And 3.5. Do you think Rainbow Quartz didn't speak because they were holding out for someone to do the voice?
I would love to see Amanda Palmer. I would love to see Tori Amos. I would, not a singer, but I'd love to see Mike Nelson from Mystery Science Theater. Those are my quick, I'd love to see Janelle Monáe. I think we missed an opportunity as her as Sardonyx. As far as Rainbow Quartz, it wasn't really, her speaking wouldn't have worked for that scene, because that was a musical number, but I don't know if they have somebody in mind or if they've already talked to anybody. I don't know who they could pick for that. She has such a cool 70s vibe to her. I don't know. That wouldn't be... I'd have to think about that.
Will you be doing any more top 10s, such as favorite characters or songs?
I might, now that you ask. I just might do some more Steven Universe top 10s. I'm planning some top 10s of other characters and franchises at the moment, but I'll probably be doing more Steven Universe in the future.
And their last question is, when did you first start watching, and when did you realize the show was going to be a big deal?
I started watching at first. I didn't watch the premiere episode. You did. Lindsay did.
I did.
Lindsay caught on to it immediately. I mentioned this in a previous episode, but I'll mention it here. I was a little concerned about the show because, from what I had seen, made me feel like it was kind of just another Adventure Time, and I had noticed that Adventure Time and Cartoon Network had really broken open some doors as far as what you could do with the show, and it looked like they were just simply doing Adventure Time over and over again. It's like, no, this is not the thing. And then I watched a few episodes, and I quickly realized that's not what they were doing. This was exactly what I was hoping they would be doing. So yeah, I quickly started to kind of get an idea of what the show was. The show wasn't what I thought it was, and I've heard others say that too. Like Steven is a much different character than I expected him to be from the previews, and the characters really gravitated towards me. And I think So Many Birthdays was the episode that really got me. And then right after that, I saw Steven the Sword Fighter, and then I was like, that's it. This is one of my favorite shows ever. The end of So Many Birthdays is something that I've never seen before in an all ages show before, and attention must be paid. So that really kind of got me. And then this deal was sealed with Steven the Sword Fighter. It's like, okay, this show is my favorite. All right.
All right. If Clark Kent met Steven as Superboy, how would you see them playing off of each other, with Clark having a set-in-stone destiny, but Steven still being up in the air?
That's actually an interesting question, and I've thought about Steven and DC heroes, particularly Superman, because they both have parents that have set these destinies for them, and they haven't met them. Stephen at least knows his dad, but Clark hasn't. Clark doesn't know his natural parents at all, except for, depending on the continuity, they give him messages and stuff like that. It's about his destiny, and it's really that would be something that definitely they would kind of latch onto with each other, and Stephen has this great speech about not really knowing how to feel about his mother because he's never met her, and you know what? They've never really done that with Superman. Like, he's never met Jor-El and Laurel before, but he seems to sometimes have feelings. Like, you never met them. Your parents are farmers. You are a farmer. That's your family. This is something alien to you as it is as to anything else. So I definitely see them either Superboy or Superman. Whatever time they would meet. I definitely see them connecting a lot, and sometimes I wish Superman was portrayed like Stephen is sometimes, because Stephen does things in the show that, God, I wish they would do with Superman. And writers of Superman's films and comics and TV shows are so busy trying to make sure he's badass and appeals to assholes as much as they can. And that's kind of not who he is. And he's a very optimistic, caring person who will fight for what's right. And it's kind of what Stephen is. So definitely they would connect pretty easily. All right, next question.
What do you think of the fact that several of the after-credit songs, particularly the songs following Mirror Gem, Nightmare Hospital, Cry for Help, and Jailbreak, all form a single song?
Yeah, that's one of those things I hadn't realized they were doing when they were doing it. And because I was very happy with the way the song sounded as an instrumental, and then at the end of season 1 they added the lyrics, which was like, oh, that's nice. There are lyrics. It's like when you realize the theme song to MASH had lyrics. And then they started adding lyrics here and there. It's kind of interesting that the closing song, is a puzzle, much like the show has been a puzzle. So it just makes a better experience. I'm curious how much more of the song there is.
And last question.
This is the last question on total?
Yes.
Okay. How are we on time?
6 minutes.
Okay.
How did you react to Stephen being in a dress? I laughed a bit and just had a big smile. Stephen is without shame.
Agreed. I think that's pretty much my opinion too. Because he just could have gone out there, dressed like he was and sung it. But no, look, we designed this act like this, and I'm going to put on the dress because this is how we did it. The makeup and the choreography. And the glitter, of course, and that's what makes that scene so wonderful. And it was a nice moment because he had realized that he had been pressuring Sadie to be something that she wasn't, and they kind of created this thing for her. So it's like, no, okay, I'll go do it. Yeah, the kid has no shame, no embarrassment, and he rocked that dress, and mighty proud of him. I think that's it with that, all the questions we got. All right, I'll probably do another one of these, I don't know, sometime in the future, maybe later at the end of the year or next year or something like that. I guess maybe closer to the end of season 2, maybe I'll do another Q&A. It might be a good time for that. That's subject to change. I may do one sooner or later. But I think that's it. Thank you for asking questions. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you folks watching my Steven Universe reviews and discussions, and I hope to make more. By the way, I am on Geekvolution's channel, the Great Geekvolution channel, Primetime Crisis Live, where we discuss superhero comics shows and such, and we've added Steven Universe, and it's been really cool introducing the show to Captain Logan. He's really become a fan of it in the last few episodes. So please, I invite you to watch that because it's, I want to introduce the show to as many people as I can. I think that's it now. So hey, push the button, Lindsay. We'll see you later.